Alright lads, back to more Xena talk. Before we start, I'd like to take the time to thank you all who continue to support my gigantic videos covering the first 2 seasons of the show. The second one in particular is one of my favorite works yet, so it's great to see a good portion of you have enjoyed it. As was the case for Season 1, it's time for the completely original countdown video of my 10 favorite episodes from Season 2. This will be very similar to the original countdown, where I briefly summarize each episode as they are listed from 10 to 1. If you would like a more detailed recap of each episode from this list, please refer back to the big Season 2 video. And finally, always remember that this is all in good fun. Now let's get into it. These are my 10 favorite episodes from Season 2 of Xena, Warrior Princess. At number 10, I have Remember Nothing, the second episode of the season, airing on October 7th, 1996. In a homage to the film It's a Wonderful Life from 1946, Xena is paying tribute to her fallen brother Lycius 11 years after his death at the Temple of the Three Fates. During her prayer, goons unleash an attack on the temple, and our 2 heroines fight back. The entire fight sequence here is great, but I truly enjoy the battle between Xena and this guy utilizing capoeira. Even though it isn't a long encounter, it's still really cool to see the Brazilian art featured on the show. When the warrior princess kills this young man, she regrets it, and conveniently the Fates have her back, as thanks for protecting their temple. The catch? She must never draw blood again. With the agreement in place, Xena suddenly appears in village attire as she reunites with her brother Lycius and her husband-to-be Matthias. All seems well until she discovers her mother Cyrene is dead and her friend from Poradia is a slave. Little by little, the warrior princess's deal of living in this alternate dimension is tested. Eventually, she is pushed off the deep end, joining her brother in a fight against familiar foes from Season 1. Gabrielle getting back at her longtime slave owner, Mezentius, via sword stab is more than enough to make Xena draw blood once more in exchange for her old life back. A real fun what-if scenario here with quite a few good twists. Seeing Gabrielle in such a dismissive state to her dire situation is quite shocking, leading to some good interactions between her and Xena as the not-so-warrior princess does all she can to reverse her state of mind. This moment right here where Xena tells Gabrielle she is her friend while they're imprisoned is fantastic. Both ladies sell it really well. If there's anything I can harp on in this episode, is that they really missed a golden opportunity to showcase a montage of Gabrielle's many outfits leading up to her new look here in Season 2. But what can you do? At number 9, I have Intimate Stranger, first airing on November 11th, 1996. This was one of the many episodes from the season that was altered after Lucy Lawless's injury in October 1996. Shortly after the events of the return of Callisto, the God of War, making his first appearance in Season 2, is pleased with Xena, indirectly causing the death of the blonde barbarian, and encourages an alliance. After awaking from a nightmare to the nightmare about the nightmare, the guilt slowly eats away at the warrior princess. One evening, the dead Callisto invites Xena over to a chat down in the Charon-less Tartarus. Ares joins the party, and the 2 villains get Xena to confess she's guilty of murdering her nemesis. One hard Irish whip to this giant rock results in one of the coolest moments of the series. The blonde barbarian returning to the land of the living in Xena's body, and the jet black haired heroine being stuck in Tartarus in Callisto's body. Both Lawless and Like get a chance to play their opposing roles, and the end result is nothing short of phenomenal. The battle in the forest is magnificent, and hearing the war cry from Like is badass. All the while, Ares loses control of Callisto when she becomes hell-bent on exacting revenge for her fallen family by killing everyone in Xena's hometown of Amphipolis, including her own mother Cyrene, played by the returning Darian Taco. Joxer the Mighty earns some cool points with the warrior princess after attempting to protect the injured Argo from who he thinks is really Callisto. A nice moment for the Mighty One. Eventually, with the help of Hades, played by the returning Eric Thompson, both ladies find themselves back in Tartarus. Callisto's mother, and many of the barbarians' victims, each create a new wave of guilt in Callisto's head by telling her she must pay for her actions. After another Irish whip to the rock, the warrior princess has finally returned to the land of the living, in Callisto's body. To accommodate the recovering Lawless, it was decided to incorporate Like a little while longer as Xena. This is a great episode with lots of twists that keeps viewers on the edge of their seats. It was really tough for me to decide between Stranger and 10 Little Warlords as my pick for number 9, since Drunk Ares is so entertaining in the follow-up episode. But ultimately, the visual of the two rivals battling in opposing bodies seals the deal for me. Great job by both ladies. At number 8, I have Destiny, the first Xena episode directed by executive producer Robert Tappert from January 27, 1997. Xena and Gabrielle arrive to Sierra on some unfinished business. The warrior princess quickly becomes overwhelmed with the bad memories, and the young bard is taken hostage by the Children of the Corn, Sun. Xena kicks loads of ass and frees the hostages. When she tells them to flee the scene, this one does not comply. A short time later, the warrior princess endures a crushing blow from this giant log while saving the little girl. The episode shifts to 10 winters ago, where Pirate Xena and her crew have taken this lad hostage, none other than Julius Caesar, played by the returning Karl Urban. As this crucial flashback to Xena's past rages on, we witness the injured Gabrielle struggle mightily to escort her friend to Mount Nestus. We learn exactly who Xena learned her impressive martial arts skills and pressure point technique from, none other than this young stowaway known as Malila, played by Ebony Smith. Despite a language barrier, the pirate and the stowaway slowly become close, after they both tease killing each other with pinches. Xena then has sexy time with Caesar, who fully believes he is destined for greatness. The Romans pay the pirate the ransom to free their leader, and he promises to return to her in the future. And he does, to betray her. Julie commands for Xena's legs to be broken as she is crucified on this beach. In the evening, Malila rescues Xena and brings her over to the healer man known as Nikleo, played by the returning Nathaniel Lees. While past Nikleo is snapping Xena's legs back into place, future Nikleo reveals to Gabrielle there is little he can do about her dire condition. Roman forces invade the cabin, and despite a valiant effort from Malila to fend them off, she is shot down. Xena turns Mina, viciously killing the remaining forces. As evil Xena is born, good Xena in the future dies, and she soon finds herself in purgatory. Malila's spirit urges the warrior princess to return to planet Oit, as the voice of Gabrielle telling her friend to fight is heard. Originally, the ending was supposed to play out in a similar vein as Season 1's Is There a Doctor in the House, with Xena eventually waking up at her friend's command. However, the Leno incident altered this, and she stayed dead for a bit. Solid directorial debut from the executive producer, even if there are aspects from the episode he is critical of. Young Callisto's eyes not matching Hudson Like's eyes being one of them. However, it's still an awesome watch, with Karl Urban cementing himself as an excellent Julius Caesar with his performance. At number 7, I have the Xena Scrolls, the first episode of 1997 and Season 2's clip show from January 13th. It is 1940 and these lads in Macedonia are in search of the greatest archaeological find in the history of history, the Xena Scrolls. This lady, Melinda Pappas, is quickly held at gunpoint by these dweebs. She is saved by the brilliant Janice Covington, who toys with the other guys as she drives them off with heavy artillery. Both ladies are the daughters of archaeologists who possessed a deep interest in the scrolls. With Covington being so close to fulfilling her father's lifelong mission, Pappas offers to translate any ancient scrolls along the way. This leads to the eventual flashbacks to critical moments from the series up to this point. The French lieutenant known as Jacques Serre joins the search, as his fellow countrymen also have a vital interest in the scrolls. Anything must be done to prevent them falling into the wrong hands, like the Nazis. I love the way she says that. Standing in their way is this man, John Smythe, played by the returning Mark Ferguson, fresh off his appearance as Dagnan in the first episode of the season, Orphan of War. They all find their way into this tomb, where the adventure takes us on a bunch of fun twists and turns. Xena's trusty projectile is discovered split in two, with Pappas being the only one who can free this half. The chakram can't stand being separated for long, as Pappas' half soon magnetizes itself to Smythe's half. When the weapon is restored, the God of War rises from his entombment. Ares takes out Smythe and his goons before turning his attention to the one he's been waiting to get back at for infinity years. Xena. Right on cue, the warrior princess takes over Melinda's body and is up to the challenge of preventing Ares from settling back on Oit. The suspense around Ares itching closer and closer to freedom in between blows is well done. But he's the bad guy, so he doesn't get to leave. Janice is able to help Melinda and the fake Frenchman out of the tomb while Ares is left behind. Covington blows the tomb to smithereens, great moment, and the New Jersey salesman bids farewell to the two ladies, who now have a deep respect between each other. 50 years later, the concept of a show based on the scrolls is presented to Rob, and the rest is history. Such an entertaining episode around all the flashbacks. I really enjoy seeing the roles reversed between Lawless and O'Connor, with Covington being the confident scrapper and Pappas being the timid damsel. T-Money, the artist formerly known as Ted Raimi, provides lots of laughs as both the Frenchman and New Jersey native. Sadly, this was the final episode where this MCA logo sign-off played after the credits. I really like that thing. At number 6, it's the return of Callisto, debuting on October 28, 1996. Following the events of the original Callisto episode from Season 1, the blonde barbarian finds herself heavily imprisoned. She boldly predicts she'll soon escape and kill every last one of the guards on the way out. And lo and behold, she does. Meanwhile, Xena and Gabrielle reunite with Podadia native Perdiccas, played by the returning Scott Garrison. Having grown weary of killing others in battle, Perdiccas is ready to settle down and proposes to the young bard. Joxer alerts our two heroines of Callisto's escape from prison and her intention to kill many more innocents. During an invasion, the two rivals square off again, and after baiting Xena into saving this little girl, Callisto has a free shot at the warrior princess. But she can't bother to kill Xena now, she has things to do. Perdiccas kills yet another soldier and decides he's going home. The young bard quickly decides to marry him, and the wedding is sealed with not one but 2 kisses. Gabrielle runs off with her new husband, and they go on to live happily ever after with a young daughter named Xena. Well, maybe in the fanfic world, but here, the blonde barbarian slays Perdiccas after another battle with the warrior princess. This leads to Gabrielle screaming for vengeance as she demands her friend to teach her how to fight with the sword. O'Connor is on another level in this scene. From here, Xena has trouble convincing her friend to do things her way, leading to an unusual prayer to the cosmos. Gabrielle witnesses the prayer and tells Xena she's headed back to Podadia for mourning. Well, maybe in the fanfic world, but here, she lied. Unable to finish Callisto, the young bard is used as bait to lure the warrior princess into a deadly trap. Shockingly, Joxer the Magnificent's rescue attempt actually buys the bound Xena enough time to free herself from Callisto's prison chair. All it took was an arrow to Joxer's heart. Callisto has had enough of this crap and challenges Xena to a chariot race, one of the coolest sequences of the entire series. The ladies tumble down into quicksand, and Xena uses her chakram and whip to pull herself out. Will she pull Callisto out? I'm sure she will. Any minute now. Wow, she actually didn't. Originally, two other scenarios were considered. One was Xena saving her nemesis, and according to Lawless, the other was Xena attempting to save Callisto, only for the barbarian to die anyway. But no. Regardless, this is still a fantastic sequel to the original Callisto episode from Season 1, a must-watch. At number 5, it's For Him the Bell Tolls from February 24th, 1997. With Lawless still recovering from the injury, T-Money was the focal point in an episode paying tribute to 1955's The Court Jester. Xena heads off to assist King Leus for a few days and leaves her best friend behind. What is this, Season 1? Joxer the Mighty reunites with the woman of his dreams for a fun adventure without the warrior princess. Elsewhere, Aphrodite, played by Alexandra Tidings, and her son Cupid, played by Carl Urban, make their Xener debuts in the midst of an impending marriage between Princess Aleandra and Prince Sarpedon. The wedding would unite their two kingdoms, taking down several of Aphrodite's temples in the process. Furious at her son for allowing his gooey love thing to work its magic on the young couple, the goddess of love incites a jealousy rage. Her accomplice? Joxer. The Mighty One is requested to hand the princess this little bell, a bell that switches in between badass Joxer and bumbling Joxer when wrong. As the Super Mighty One, Joxer possesses godly fighting skills and has no problem attracting Aleandra or any other lady. Aphrodite's plan seems to be going well, until Gabrielle figures out that only the goddess of love can stoop so low. The young bard strikes a deal with Cupid to reverse the madness if she successfully gets Aphrodite to reconsider. Gabrielle uses the power of the bells in town to reactivate badass Joxer so he can take the fight to the Temple of Aphrodite. The melee causes mayhem and destruction, leading the goddess to end her jealousy rage. Poor Joxer is forever reverted back to his old bumbling self, but a good little pep talk from the warrior princess lifts his spirits, and off the three friends go to the next adventure. Non-stop hilarity from this great installment. T-Money shines in his moment of badassery, highlighted by his smooth words in between sword slashes and kisses to both Aleandra and Gabrielle, the latter of which will never be not funny. I also get a kick out of this moment when Aphrodite gives Gabrielle this priceless look for not knowing what love really is. Best of all, this was the episode that introduced us to the majesty that is the Joxer the Mighty theme song. Now sing it, you fools. Joxer the Mighty roams through the countryside. He never needs a place to hide, with Gabby as a sidekick, fighting with her little stick, righting wrongs and sing. At number 4, I'm going with A Day in the Life, the episode from February 17th. In this wonderful installment directed by Eolus, we witness how our two heroines pass the time in between the big events in their lives. While clearing out goons led by a warlord named Zagreus, Gabrielle is ticked off at Xena when her frying pan is sacrificed in order to save her life. The looks she gives to Xena while the warrior princess learns about an invasion of local village Piedmont are truly amazing. While the two heroines have no idea where Piedmont is, Gabrielle won't let that frying pan thing go. And now, there are two villages to save when the town of Laurel is threatened by a giant known as Gareth. Murray Keene, a cast member from Hercules and the Amazon Women, plays Howard, a man who becomes infatuated with Xena faster than you can say Pan. But before they can destroy a giant, Xena is hungry. Nothing some good old-fashioned noodling can't fix. Behold, the many eels and fish tossed at our bard of Podedia. I could imagine Hurst giggling to himself behind the camera each time a fish was tossed at Rock in the blooper reel. Eventually, the heroines reach Laurel and encounter Howard's girlfriend and Xena's first ever superfan, Minya, played by Allison Wall. Thanks to Xena's many commands to Howard, the giant and the warlord eventually cross paths, and Zagreus' army is taken out. The warlord soon lets the whole world know what he thinks about that, by way of insidious rage. This is Willie DeWitt, one of the stars on the first television show Lucy Lawless ever acted in from the late 1980s, called Funny Business. Using Xena's advice from earlier on how to win Howard's attention back, Minya morphs into Mighty Minya and takes out Zagreus with a palm strike. Mission accomplished, Howard loves her again. All that's left is to take out Gareth. Using a flippin' kite, the power of Zeus is transferred over to the big freak of nature, cooking him instantly. In the evening, Xena and Gabrielle look at stars and holy Aphrodite. A true classic with tons of funniness. These excellent transitions in between scenes and the mind games the two heroines play with each other throughout the episode seamlessly add to the comedy. Another great moment is when Xena nonchalantly tosses her chakram around while waiting for the giant. This all led to Alison Wall winning Best Supporting Actress in New Zealand for her stellar work as Minya, and the episode being featured on the 10-year anniversary box set released in 2005. Enough said. At number 3, we have Warrior, Princess, Tramp. Awkwardly sandwiched between Return of Callisto and Intimate Stranger on November 4th, 1996, the episode delivers the goods nonetheless. Princess Diana and Prince Philemon welcome a new future queen into the family, and King Leus couldn't be more excited to be a grandpa. However, the king's health is deteriorating fast, so he calls for Xena's help to ensure his daughter has a successful transition from princess to queen. But it seems Xena has been messing around with Joxer behind Gabrielle's back, and you know she's having none of that crap. The warrior princess is having a drink with this lad Agus before Princess Diana grants her full access to the castle and command of the king's forces. When Gabrielle asks what's going on with Joxer, Xena orders the men to throw her in the dungeon. Agus retains his hand after this chokehold, and we find out that this is in fact another lookalike known as Meg, creating a holy trinity of Xenas. I love Meg. I see what you did there, calling this lady Robin in early drafts of the script, Mr. Tappert. Joxer bails out of sexy time with Meg, and the real Xena finally arrives to the castle. The Mighty One soon helps Xena catch up on what's going on, and the warrior princess senses another lookalike at play. Now reunited with Gabrielle, Xena gets her own Princess Diana outfit and tricks one of Agus's minions to lead her to the real Diana. Once the plan to stop Agus is set in motion, the young bard has unfinished business with Meg. This part is so great. Meg shares her rough life up to that point and is soon embraced by the king, thinking it's really Diana. Aggie soon enters the room and asks Meg to prove her identity by killing Leus, but she refuses, and here comes the cavalry. Meg redeems herself by escorting the king to safety while the fight is taken to Agus and his goons. Diana's baby is saved, the threat to the throne is no more, and Meg earns a new gig as Leus's personal cook. Incredible sequel to the original episode when it was two Xenas. Meg calling the chakram the Shamrock before Agus's boys meet their doom is great, and the confusion around which Xena is which keeps you on the edge of your seat. Another episode from Season 2 worth your time. At number 2, I actually have The Price. Premiering on April 28, 1997, this episode was directed by Ole Sassoon. All signs point toward a lighthearted episode as Xena and Gabrielle take part in the executive producer's favorite pastime. But no, the young bard fishes a desperate dude out of the water who alerts the heroines about the Horde, a bunch of ruthless individuals looking to kill anyone in their path. Xena affirms the severity of the situation when she recalls that this group was responsible for taking out many of her men in the past. These prisoners of war make it clear that the two heroines are completely surrounded. Fortunately, Athenian reinforcements arrive to assist Xena and Gabrielle to safety. Mercer, played by Charles Major, and Menticles, played by recurring Hercules cast member Paul Glover, are the ones leading the depleted army in an increasingly fatal war. Food and water are running short, the remaining soldiers are exhausted, and some are even losing their minds over the Horde's constant repetition of the term Kaltaka. The warrior princess restores their hope with a booming declaration to kill every last member of the Horde. This sets up a rift between our two heroines throughout the episode, as Xena has once again gone Mina. The warrior princess goes so far as to command every injured soldier still able to walk back to the battlefield. Gabrielle grows weary of her friend's intense aggression, begging for the violence to stop at every turn. After the young bard prevents this Horde member from being pinched to death, he mutters Kaltaka again as she gathers some water for the critically injured soldiers. He takes a large sip, and Gabrielle concludes that Kaltaka must mean water. She bursts onto the battlefield with a flask and provides water to several injured Horde members. The young bard is proven to be correct, as unarmed Horde members begin carrying their injured brethren out of the Athenian base. Xena finally sees the light, sending all the injured Athenians back to the hospital for treatment, and finally making peace with Gabrielle. She even upholds the warrior's code of honor while letting this lad go free. In the final battle, Xena dukes it out with the Horde Master, who is actually played by Kevin Sorbo's main stunt double over on the Legendary Journeys. The warrior princess gets the best of her challenger, but honorably decides not to kill him in front of the rest of the Horde. This only ticks off the Horde Master, as he is ready to nail her from behind, until his own men take him out. The episode ends with Xena saying she hopes the Horde have a Gabrielle wherever they're from. A truly suspenseful episode with plenty of moments of doubt as to whether or not Xena would ever snap out of her warlike tendencies. This one took the darker tone of the series to a new level, and I really enjoyed it from the jump. The payoff of Gabrielle being proven right at the end is really satisfying, and seeing her make peace with Xena afterward is well done. This wouldn't be the last we'd see of Major, Glover, or Rice as both shows progressed. To those looking for an episode where Xena's dark side takes over after dedicating her life to the greater good, you will not be disappointed. Here it is, my favorite episode from Season 2. At number 1, it's Ulysses, I'm kidding. It's The Quest, the first episode of February 1997, debuting on the 3rd. The action picks up right where Destiny left off as Gabrielle is on a mission to return Xena's body to Amphipolis. On her journey, she laments a world without her best friend at her side and comes across warlords looking to cash in on the deed body of the warrior princess. Gabrielle attacks the greedy bastards. And are you ready for a cameo? Aeolus joins the fray, and the tag team is too much for the goons. Gabrielle tearfully breaks the news to Aeolus, leaving him at a loss for words. The two sidekicks embrace once more before the Golden Hunter sets off to share the sad news with the son of Zeus. Soon enough, the young bard is reunited with her Amazon sisters, including the returning Danielle Cormack as Ifni and the debuting Melinda Clark as the would-be new queen, Valaska. The Amazons offer a ceremonial cremation of Xena's body as a tribute to the warrior princess. Meanwhile, another heist is taking place, and today's target is the Dagger of Helios. Who else would it be other than the King of Thieves? As a result of the Leno incident, Bruce Campbell was called in for extra stand-in duties. Xena's spirit takes over Autolycus' body, and he goes crazy. It isn't until he sees a reflection in this barrel of water that he realizes why he has lost control of his limbs. With the dagger and a map to locate Ambrosia in his possession, the warrior princess devises a plan to retrieve her dead body so she could consume the godly substance and be brought back to life. Problem is, the newly crowned Queen of the Amazons has approved of the traditional Amazon pyre and catches the King of Thieves trying to steal the body. Believing he's after the bounty like all the other warlords, Gabrielle tosses Autolycus to jail. But he escapes, and Xena takes over once again. The new queen has no trouble recognizing her moves, as Autolycus grabs onto the sarcophagus with Xena's whip and rides away on a horse. Gabrielle's gone surfing BC Greece. Velasca is ticked off, and Gabrielle wants to speak to her friend now. The warrior princess takes over once again and tells her friend to close her eyes. You may speak with Xena, young bard. And she does, before the holy Afro! Damn it. Gabrielle and Autolycus send Xena's body to a van down by the river and locate the Hall of Ambrosia, but Velasca is having none of this crap. Temporarily imprisoned, the king and the Amazons work together to escape as Velasca heads back to the hall with the dagger to become a goddess. As Ethne is gathering Xena's body from the van down by the river, the warrior princess takes over her best friend's body in the hall. Gabriella, the Amazon for the ages, fights Velasca on vines in a bona fide slobber knocker. The new blood succeeds in gathering the ambrosia, but is eventually taken out by Gabriella before she can take a bite. A little piece is retained by the queen, and she uses it to bring the warrior princess back to life. In the end, Xena owes Autolycus a favor, and our two heroines embrace once more. This episode has a healthy dose of everything we've come to expect from the series so far. Comedy, suspense, drama, thrilling fight scenes, beautiful moments, and strong performances from our two leading ladies. The visuals of Xena fighting in the bodies of both Autolycus and Gabrielle are so memorable and entertaining. The young bard pretending to hand the queen's mask to Velasca before putting it on is badass. Iolaus making his cameo is a nice surprise, although it would have been nice if he stuck around to help Gabrielle, and possibly could have been one of the people Xena took over in a fight, eh? And of course, heated discussions on the relationship between our two heroines only intensified with this. Great stuff all around from the cast and crew in early February 1997. That concludes the list of my 10 favorite episodes from Season 2. It was tough for me to rank some of my favorites in this video, since you really can't go wrong with several episodes offered to us from late 1996 to the spring of 1997. Rest assured, Seasons 3 through 6 will get the same treatment after they're covered on the channel in their entirety. Until then, I invite you to catch up on the first 2 videos if you haven't already, and of course, share your own 10 favorites from Season 2 in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and